Hey everyone, welcome back to the Craft Parenting Podcast, the podcast about two Cincinnati craft beer lovers with a parenting problem. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Joe Ludwig, and with me is my lovely wife and co-host, Caroline. How's it going, Caroline?
I'm pooped. I'm tired. I'm exhausted.
I am cracking the whip.
You are.
On the whole podcasting thing. We are getting podcasts recorded.
This is back-to-back nights.
Podcast Palooza here at the Ludwig household.
Aren't Paloozas supposed to be fun parties? Where are the balloons? Where's the streamers?
There's literally a balloon behind me.
I regretted saying balloons halfway through saying bah. Because I was like, oh no, there's balloons behind me.
Still up from Elliot's first birthday party.
Hey, I took down the baby. Or it's a boy. Your mom took down the baby. Because that was up for like ever.
We're really getting our bang out of our buck out of that.
Hey, I spent lots of money on that impulse buy at Target. We are going to get our money's worth out of my Target impulse buy.
But we are here and we are recording a podcast. And we have another great show planned. We are going to talk about nutrition and how it is important, especially developing good habits and how we can potentially do better.
How we can help foster good eating habits in our children. Because telling your granddaughter, you're looking a little chunky, does not foster healthy eating habits in your children or grandchildren or whoever scenario.
Right. So let us dive in and get started. But before we talk about that, we are going to be bad examples. And this is partially a craft beer podcast.
I mean, we're craft beer lovers with the parenting problem, so...
Right. So everything in moderation, obviously. And
this is only my 10th beer of the night.
10th.
I haven't even drank a third of this yet. It's still very heavy.
All right. So what are you drinking?
I am drinking a Westside Brewing Goza, which is 3.9% ABV and 7 IBUs. I've drank this on the podcast before, but I will read the description again. Cloudy yellow with a fluffy white head, our traditional German Goza uses sea salt and coriander to make a truly unique beer. This brew leads with aroma of bread dough, lemon citrus, and a hint of lactic acid. The flavor is more doughy maltiness and some coriander spice that is followed immediately by a clean, firm sourness. The beer ends with a perfectly balanced hint of salinity to prime you for the next drink. We did a whole 0.5 about Westside Gozas.
We did.
It's still good. I still like it. I'm going to drink this while you describe your beer.
Well, I am drinking a new beer to the podcast. It is the Nano OG Lager. It is by Market Garden Brewery, and they are based out of Cleveland, Ohio.
So I picked this up at a health food store. It was the health food grocery store. I had a mild panic attack when it took me forever to find the beer that there would not be beer in this health food grocery store.
Oh, man.
And that I was going to have to get an Uber or make my coworker stop at another store so I could buy beer. And I was trying to find stuff that was local to Cleveland, Akron, Canton-ish area. And that I wasn't sure whether or not we could actually get in Cincinnati because I don't traverse bottle shops a whole lot. And would be something that you would drink. And a lot of what they had were IPAs.
Yeah.
So.
Which I don't.
You do not drink IPAs. So I picked up this lager. How is it? I don't even think I've had it yet.
It's pretty good. I mean, I could crush these all day.
This is not a Goza.
No, it is not a Goza. Probably not a good thing to drink right after a Goza.
No, that's nice and crisp. It's a little cloudy, but not super cloudy. It's pretty clear.
It's pretty clear, yeah. So the description, this light pale lager is a throwback to how beer was brewed in America over 100 years ago. Crisp, brilliant, and refreshing with a delicate malt body and a snappy hop finish. Nano keeps you dominating all day. And it's pretty light, as you were saying. It's only 4.3% ABV.
I mean, mine's only 3.9, so you're drinking a heavier beer than I am.
But it's pretty comparable to like a Bud Light.
A light beer that comes in a blue can.
What was I going to say? Just a comment on that 100 years ago. 100 years ago was Prohibition. So.
Yeah. Well, 100 years ago was... Nope, it was Prohibition. It was Prohibition.
We're at 2022 here.
Yeah.
100 years ago. But I'm sure that they didn't. I'm sure that they are.
I'm sure they over 100 years ago means pre-Prohibition because that was over 100 years ago is anything that is greater than 100 years plus 1 day ago.
Fair point. I just wanted to point that out to everyone who is born in our time and we think we're young and we're not.
No, we are from the late 19th century or the late 20th century. Yeah, we were born in the late 1900s. That's what the young folks say these days.
I saw that TikTok. All right, so now it is time for What's Bugging Caroline in Children's TV, where you, Caroline, tell us all about the lack of physics and logic in children's TV. So what is bugging you this week?
So today I'm going to talk about a show that breaks physics and logic literally all of the time. So when Lily got sick and our goal was to try to get her in front of the TV as much as possible so she would rest as much as possible, healthy habits, but also trying to get an almost 3-year-old to rest is virtually impossible. I decided we needed to start adding in some more TV shows into the rotation so I wouldn't watch the same 4 episodes over and over and over again. And so I reintroduced the kids to Phineas and Ferb, which is a cartoon. It's not meant to be educational, which is why it breaks physics and logic all the time.
It's very formulaic.
Yeah. And I I remembered that I loved this show, but I forgot how much I loved this show because they break the fourth wall all the time. They have great adult jokes and kids jokes and everybody jokes. And
Great
it was
songs too.
And the songs, because they used Bowling for Soup, which is a fantastic band. And you need to listen to them if you don't. They have more songs than 1985. And they were gone too soon. There was only 4 seasons. 4 seasons. I want more. The stupid creators decided that they were going to stop the show while people still liked it and they still had good content and they weren't going to drive it into the ground.
Wait, I watched a YouTube video about this. Is that what you're referencing?
And this was a quick Google search today.
Oh.
But I could be referencing that YouTube thing. Yes, I am referencing the YouTube thing. Tell me more about the YouTube thing of which I am referencing.
It wasn't their fault. It was the executives' fault. It was the suits. They didn't know if they wanted to order. They kept basically stalling.
Stupid suits.
So the creators were like, yeah, we've been in this business for a while and we know, 1, animation takes forever to make.
Mm-hmm.
2, the suits at Disney
We're being suits.
were being indecisive. So
That's what suits do.
So basically they were like, yeah, we're gonna end it on our terms. And they never ordered season 5.
There have been a few shows that have done that, where either they saw the writing on the wall or they didn't want to have to deal with negotiations.
The way Hollywood works is you're basically a contractor, right?
Yeah, you'd do 1-year contracts. If you're lucky, you can get a 2 or 3-year contract.
So if there's just this lulling period where you're not making anything because no one can decide what they want, then everyone leaves.
Well, because you're not necessarily making your current project, but you're thinking about what the next 3 projects are going to be that you're going to pitch in hopes that one of them is going to get picked up. And so then do you really care about the original project as much as well?
No, well, I'm saying what they reference in this YouTube video. They specifically said that animation takes very long to make, and they had...
Unless if you're South Park.
Correct. Well, I mean, that takes a long time, too. South Park had an episode where Cartman... I forget what they were doing it for, but they were making their own animated show, and they were doing it in the style of South Park.
So it was a show within a show.
With the stop animation.
The paper characters were cutting paper characters.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So they were showing the process. And they don't do that now, but back in the day, like the first season, they absolutely did do that.
Oh, yeah.
Now I think they have like a computer animated program.
Well, the technology's a lot better.
That looks like it's paper. Right?
Yeah.
So, but it was really funny that they showed, they were like, okay, we have it all set up. And then he clicks the record. That was 1 second. Woo! And then they move the paper person like a foot, like an inch, and then he clicks the stop motion camera again. 2 seconds.
Yeah, it takes a while.
What was I talking about? You completely derailed me. I was talking about Phineas and Ferb.
And how the show was ended too soon. Because
people
were indecisive.
They had such a backlog of animated, I guess the 4th season, right?
Yeah.
And I guess they make that a year in advance.
Yeah, you kind of have to. I mean, even for like traditionally shot shows that don't have a lot of CG, they still do that a year or more in advance.
Well, a lot of shows record, like human shows, like live action. They record in the summer, the first part.
Yeah.
And then they come back in like the fall-ish, and then they record the second half of the year. But it's different. TV is, I mean, that's the traditional TV schedule. These days, you have like 6 episodes.
Well, and you've got streaming service, so I don't care about releasing a show in September. I want to release a show. If I want to release a show in December, I can do that.
But back to Phineas and Ferb, they in this video that I'm trying to say. So the crew finished season 4, and then Disney didn't say, hey, we want a season 5. So everyone kind of just left. So then they brought the people who they could back for like the 5 specials.
Mm-hmm.
And then the final special was the last, what is it called? The last day of summer or something?
Probably. We haven't gotten that far yet. I like their version of Star Wars.
That was one of the specials.
Yeah, that was one of the specials. They do lots of really good jokes.
And they tried to do a like Perry the Platypus, Doofenshmirtz, like spin-off.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
But it was going to be too expensive because it was all like, it was very little dialogue.
Because all Perry does is go. Rrr.
It was like Secret Agent Perry, so it would be like all action shots.
Yeah.
Because they don't talk.
Yeah, because Doof does all the talking.
And animation, it cost a lot to do like action sequences. And the trick to animation is you get 2 characters standing next to each other and they talk. And then that cuts down on the cost.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to animate them doing a whole bunch of crazy stuff.
Screw you executives for not ordering enough seasons soon enough. And Phineas and Ferb, I want more. The end. Finn.
Is it Finn or Phineas?
Oh.
Opportunity lost. Okay, so now on to the main part of the show, which is all about the importance of good nutrition. And I looked up some kind of depressing stuff. Caroline was looking at the doc and was like, I thought we were talking about...
We're a happy family podcast.
Look, nutrition is extremely important.
It is extremely important. And I try to make sure that we have good food in the house. But then I occasionally get fun, sweet treats. Because life's boring if you don't have some fun, sweet treats every once in a while.
Right. So it's everything in moderation. But our food is riddled with crap. So you have to be careful about what you buy.
Yes.
And I think, if you don't do it right, if you don't have good habits, which I'll be the first to admit I don't have good habits. You run the risk of being overweight, obese, being obese and overweight Can lead to heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, potentially cancer. So it's super important to help your toddler develop good eating habits as early as possible and to teach them how to eat healthy and what foods to grab. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. By getting your toddler to eat, let alone eating healthy, is extremely difficult. But as with anything in parenting, patience and persistence are key. I think I read on this website, the Department of Agriculture, it may take up to 8 to 10 tries for a child to accept a new food.
Oh, yeah. It can take a while because they don't recognize what it is. And like you'll notice it in what Elliot does, where he'll smush his food before he eats it because he kind of wants to see what it is and understand more about it before he puts it in his mouth. And occasionally, if we give the kids new foods, they won't touch it until like I actually eat something off of their plate and show them that, hey, this is food and mama's eating it. And then they're like, oh, maybe I will give this a try. And they might not necessarily like it the first time that they eat it, but they're more liable to try it if I take a bite of their food first. It's like monkey see, monkey do, but positive things. Not, I'm going to try to jump off the windowsill onto the couch and then off the couch onto the chair. And
Lily.
Kids are fun.
So I looked up some research. I'm going to go through this relatively quickly. You can jump in if you have anything you want to say or add. But this is from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. So these are the government folk telling us what we should and should not be doing. But they say, quote, healthy eating for toddlers. Healthy eating is important at every age. Offer toddlers a variety of fruits, vegetables, grains, protein foods, and dairy or fortified soy alternatives. When deciding on foods and beverages, choose options that are full in nutrition and lower in sodium and avoid added sugars. And they continue, start with these tips. Provide foods full of nutrition. And then they continue, offer your toddler a variety of fruits, vegetables, grains, protein foods, and dairy, etc. Avoid foods and beverages with added sugars and choose those with lower sodium. They just repeat that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they say whole grains make a difference. And this is something that I didn't really grow up with. Whole grain. We had, white bread growing up. But
the good unhealthy stuff.
Yeah. And I grew up on it, and sure. I think that could have been a choice that could have been made better for, my family growing up. Right? It's an easy choice.
It's a small choice that could potentially make a bigger impact going down the road.
On diet, yeah.
But there's still like levels of bread. And like there's your white bread and then there's your wheat bread that is just as processed as that white bread was. But now you can get Dan's Killer bread, and that's some good stuff. It's got like big whole seeds in it and it's very tasty. I like Dan's Killer bread. Or Dave's Killer bread.
I mean, we have some over there. But this is something that I didn't know, and this is where, in the U.S. at least, this is where marketing comes into play and how they get you.
It's the lobbies.
So they say whole grain foods help keep your heart healthy and are good for digestion and a healthy weight. When shopping, choose foods that say 100% whole wheat or 100% whole grains on the label, or check the ingredients list to see if the word whole is before the first ingredient listed. So they can trick you and say just, a whole grain food on the label. And
Mhm.
then you associate those words with 100% whole wheat or 100% whole grains.
Well, it's like
it's
100%
not.
juice, and it's like it contains 10% juice. You're like, what is it? It can't be one and the other. It can only be.
So basically, on the front of the label, you can basically lie up to a point.
Yes.
But the back of the label, the nutrition facts, the ingredients, you cannot lie on that. You're not supposed to be able to lie on that.
You can get in a lot more trouble if you lie on that.
Right. So always look at the ingredient list to make sure it says whole, 100% whole grains or whole grains is that first ingredient. So here are some more tips about healthy habits. Look for cues. So when children are hungry, they usually let you know. Lily is very good about that, and so is Elliot.
He's working on learning his cues, but we know his cues. He just doesn't like to listen.
Oh, he's grouchy when he's hungry.
He is very grouchy when he's hungry. I don't know who he gets it from.
But bonus cues they say, are not as obvious. Although I would argue with that and say, have you met
a toddler?
Have you met a toddler? Our toddlers.
Lily turned her cheese slice into rice, and Elliot painted the wall with lasagna. We knew they were done eating.
Yeah. Children may be full if they push. That's cute. Food away, close mouth, turn head away, or make sounds to let you know. Mm-hmm.
They might be talking about like babies.
This is specifically for toddlers.
The kids did that when they were babies, then they stopped, and they just started chucking things.
It also says prevent choking. We always cut up our kids' food.
So there's like mixed reviews on that, on what's better, whether it's better to cut up your kids' food into more manageable pieces. Like, you start them off with mashed foods, for sure, because they need to get used to like texture and swallowing things that are not just straight liquid. But they have more control if they have a longer food item. So if you give them like little pieces of banana, sure, it's easier for them potentially to like pick up and end up with some of the food in their mouth. With a longer food item, they are then in more of control of where that food goes in their mouth once they figure out how to get that food in their hand towards their mouth without stabbing themselves in the eye, ear, hair, or cheek first. Or sometimes they know how to not stab themselves in the face and they just choose to do it anyway because they want to paint on themselves with food.
But there are some things that you have to cut up. Like they say grapes,
hot dogs, tomatoes, anything that is like that has a harder skin on the outside, you either need to peel it or cut it up into more manageable pieces. Because your child's airway is only about the size of a pencil. So anything that's wider than a pencil can potentially get stuck in their throat. And then you have to Heimlich it out of them.
Yeah. So let's move on. Try new foods. And as we said before, it may take up to 8 to 10 tries for a child to accept a new food. Serve safe food. So obviously if you're cooking with meat, fish, raw meat, make sure you cook it, make sure you sanitize.
Yeah, so like if you're using a cutting board to cut up dinner, cut up your vegetables before you cut up your meat.
I did not follow this when I made fajitas.
But you cooked all of the vegetables.
And I had to wash the cutting board.
Oh, you washed the cutting board. Yeah, that works too. And then make sure that you're washing your hands and any surface that is not getting heated to a safe temperature before using that surface to serve food to yourself or your children. Your child doesn't necessarily have the immune system or their body doesn't necessarily have the strength that you have to fight off things like salmonella or different kinds of things that you can get from contaminated food. So them getting sick is a little bit more of a bigger deal than you getting sick. So you gotta be careful.
Right. Yeah, so just make sure everything is clean and sanitized and you don't mix utensils that touched raw meat with vegetables and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
That's essentially what you said.
Mm-hmm.
I cooked. I worked in food for 5 years. I cooked for probably most of those 5 years.
Yep.
So had to be very. I took it seriously. A lot of the people there, it was just a job.
Mm-hmm.
But
people's health is in your hands.
Right. So you have to be careful. And it was through an automated oven. It was going to get, everything was getting cooked.
Yeah.
But cleaning was just as important as making the food.
Well, because not everything gets cooked out. So.
We cleaned. That was half our job,
Mm-hmm.
was cleaning.
Yes.
We cleaned.
People don't necessarily realize that about being any kind of cook, is that half of your job is cleaning. Well, we're going to cover drinks too. So up until your child is 6 months old, they should only be having formula or breast milk or some combination of the two. You shouldn't start introducing just straight water to your child until you're starting to introduce food. And then you only give them water when you're giving them food. But as they get older, so 9 months and up, when they're starting to eat more food, then you just can constantly offer them water. And just say, here's your sippy cup or your straw cup. Straw cups are preferred. Here's your cup. Put it wherever you want. But this is your cup for the day. And whenever you're thirsty, here's some water. And then they can get milk like morning, noon, and night, or whatever your schedule is for when they get milk. Try to stay away from like juices and sports drinks until they're a little bit older. And then like be careful about if you do give your child juice, make sure it's in moderation, probably water it down a bit, and read the label beforehand, because most juices are not actually juice. 1, because concentrate is way cheaper, but 2, they'll just start throwing other stuff in there to bulk it up a bit that your child doesn't necessarily need. And then sports drinks, like only if like Pedialyte is a thing.
I would say Pedialyte is the exception to that.
But that's like when your child is sick.
Yes.
And not eating a whole lot of foods.
Don't give your child.
Not like an everyday kind of thing.
Yeah, like Gatorade or Powerade.
No, they got too much salt in them. Your kid doesn't need that much salt.
That's a big no-no.
Yep.
So now that we have that as a baseline, let's kind of talk about our process and the habits that we are attempting to instill in our children. So how often do our kids eat?
A lot.
It's more than you and I eat, for sure.
But
They are more active than you and I.
And their tummies are smaller and their bodies are growing so much faster than ours are.
Yeah, they need more nutrition than us, for
Yep.
sure. So basically, they eat breakfast when they wake up. They eat a morning snack around 11-ish. They wake up around 7. And then they eat lunch around 12:30-ish, 1. And then they have an afternoon snack, like after their nap, if they nap. And they have dinner. I try to make dinner ready by 6:30. But tonight,
I got home from the grocery store at 6:15, so that was not an option.
Yeah. And then every once in a while, we do a dessert. Sometimes, not too often. So we're going to go kind of through what we typically feed them. I'm not saying that this is what we feed them every day, but it's basically some version of this. And then we might mix it up here and there.
Yeah.
So breakfast, the kids really like Cheerios.
I swear they need to bring back the yogurt Cheerios because Lily would love those.
Right. Because the second point on this list is yogurt.
Mm-hmm.
And we do Go-Gurt.
So we do Go-Gurt. I bought some Danimals fruit smoothie yogurt things. Lily kind of likes those.
Yeah, your mom came downstairs and was like, "Where are the straws?" I'm like,
you just chug it out of the bottle.
No, she just randomly said that. No context. I know where you get this from now. She's like, I'm working, and she runs downstairs, opens the door, and she's like, "Where are the straws?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
The straws. Well, one, there's a pack of straws on the counter right behind you. So,
Is there
bam,
really?
There are the straws.
And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, I don't know. And she walked away. I'm like, "No, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? And she said, Lillian says that she wants a straw for her smoothie, yogurt smoothie. I'm like, what? We don't have any straws. I don't know. She just drinks it from the container.
I wanted to try something new and see if the kids would like it. Lily likes it. Elliot spilled half of his container on himself, but we tried. We'll try again later. He's got to build those motor skills.
Bananas. The kids really like bananas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we need to invest in a banana farm. I mean, I try to split the banana in half now, but sometimes that's not enough.
No, they can eat a banana each. And
they've
been able to eat a banana each since they were 9 months old.
Yeah, they do. They do like bananas. Sometimes on the weekends, I like to make pancakes, but these are not the crappy...
the ones that I got shamed for buying, unicorn funfetti mini pancakes.
I wasn't going to say that. I was going to say what is it, a pearl mining company now?
The what?
Formerly known as Aunt Jemima.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah. They're not buttermilk pancakes. These are protein pancakes.
Anyway, so yeah, sometimes I make pancakes on the weekend if people ask nicely, but it's healthy-ish pancakes. I looked on the label, they are 100% whole grain, and you can just make them with water,
mm-hmm.
or you can add a milk and an egg to it, and that adds protein to it.
Yes.
Tony, who was on this podcast a few weeks ago, he told us about this particular brand.
Yeah, they're pretty tasty.
They are dry.
Yes. And I recently started buying actual maple syrup because we had to use up all of the fake maple syrup in the house first.
Yeah,
so I kept forgetting to buy maple syrup.
That's another thing that is like a simple choice. It's probably more
It's more expensive.
It is for sure more expensive.
As I nod my head aggressively that you can totally see on this visual medium that is a podcast.
So you can definitely see why people, gravitate towards the generic store brand.
Yeah.
But that stuff it's not real maple syrup. It's horrible for you. I mean, real maple syrup is not great for you because it's sugar, but at least it's natural-ish sugar.
I mean, technically arsenic is natural, but I don't think that you want to have a bunch of arsenic. So just throwing that out there. We'll also do breakfast sausage sometimes. When we're very adventurous and want to feel murdery at each other, we'll make breakfast casserole for breakfast because breakfast casserole takes 3 hours to make. And by the time the breakfast casserole is done, we've all eaten an emergency breakfast and have been designated to different corners of the house so we don't kill each other.
Yeah,
but it's so tasty.
And Caroline's like, I think it's done. As she's poking.
I'm like, I don't care. It's done. I will eat the raw eggs. The sausage is cooked. It's fine. I'm so hungry.
It always takes longer than you think, even if we convect the oven.
Yeah. So what has helped in the past is if I pre-chop the bread and pre-cook the sausage the day before, but that also depends on me remembering to pre-cook the sausage and pre-chop the bread and try to do as much prep work as possible.
Okay, so this is a good recipe, but we don't do it as often as we probably should. It has 12 eggs or 6 eggs.
It's 10 eggs. So it's a Jimmy Dean recipe, but I've modified it a bit.
But it has a bunch of vegetables in it too, right?
It's 10 eggs, some milk, some spices, 6 or 8 slices of bread. I forget. I want to say it's 6 slices of bread is what converts out to how many cups it's supposed to be. I think it's 8. It's 8 slices of bread.
It's a lot of bread.
It's a lot of bread. Your choice of breakfast sausage, Jimmy Dean preferred because it's a Jimmy Dean recipe, but I don't think I've ever actually used Jimmy Dean sausage in it. Cheese, tomato, pepper, and you're supposed to put mushrooms in it, but I am allergic to mushrooms, so we do not put mushrooms in ours. So you layer bread, sausage, pepper, tomato, cheese, pepper, ground pepper, which I never remember to do. And then you go bread, sausage, bell pepper, tomato, cheese, technically ground pepper. I usually just end up throwing the ground pepper in with the scrambled eggs.
I mean, that's fine. That works too.
And then you whip the eggs and the milk and the spices. It's like salt, pepper, ground mustard, and something else.
Cinnamon, nutmeg.
Maybe I put some nutmeg in it. And then you pour all that on top and you like mush down the bread so everything gets some egg soaked up in it. And you convect it in the oven forever. It's like an hour. Because it's a 9x13 casserole pan. And she gets thick. And then it's really funny because you pull it out of the oven and it's all nice and tall. And then you set it on the counter. You let it sit for like 5 minutes. You cut out your pieces. You eat it and you look at it. And it's like lost half of its height as the eggs have deflated because they're no longer warm and mushy. But it's still good for leftovers. Like it microwaves okay.
It does microwave okay.
And I just spent a lot of time talking about that breakfast casserole. And now I really want it. But I also don't feel like spending the time to make it on Saturday.
Yeah.
So...
It's definitely a once in a blue moon sort of thing. My mom makes quiche for Christmas breakfast, or she used to.
Mm-hmm. I haven't made a quiche before. I should do that. But I also, it's very hard for us to experiment with breakfast things and spend lots of time prepping breakfast things because, as stated previously, we get kind of murdery in the morning if we have not had food. So it has to be brunch or dinner.
Yeah. Another thing that you make for breakfast that you want to potentially murder.
I'm not as murdery when I make banana bread.
I was going to say banana bread, yeah.
But it depends on whether or not the bananas are frozen and I have to wait for them to defrost.
I mean,
we have a lot of frozen bananas that I need to turn into banana bread because we pitched half of them. There's still a ton.
There's this meme going around that's like, I don't know who needs to hear this, but you're not going to use the frozen bananas in your freezer.
Start throwing them away.
Or just eat them quicker. And in this house, we don't have brown bananas anymore.
No. Well, I mean, every once in a while, the kids go through a kick where they don't want banana for a hot second, but that's like 2 days. And then they're back to I need a banana every day.
So, yeah, they eat
monkey see, monkey do.
They eat bananas like candy over here.
Yeah. So moving on to their snack. This will kind of cover all snacks that we give them. We're big on baby food puree pouches. The pouches that we buy are BPA free that have pure pureed fruit and veggies such as banana, blueberry, oatmeal, apple, mango, spinach, carrot, sweet potato, and other things in various combinations. The kids are super into them. And it's a thing that they can feed themselves and not make as much of a mess as if we give them a bowl of applesauce. We do also have just straight applesauce in the fridge as an option of a thing that you can feed yourself from a bowl. So we learn some of those motor skills.
Right.
And it's a little bit cheaper than buying a bunch of pouches.
Well, the pouches also are good to stuff in the diaper bag if we're out and about.
Oh, they're great for on the go. Goldfish are a huge hit in our house. Joe likes to buy the multigrain ones. I don't like the taste of the multigrain ones, so I try to buy the not multigrain one.
Yeah, goldfish are not good for you.
But they're fishies.
This falls under it's very difficult to make a toddler eat.
Yeah, it's like, hey, do you want some goldfish? Yes. Okay, sweet. The child will eat something. And then there's a brand of protein bars that we buy that are specifically for children. They've got a bunch of different flavors. They're supposed to be organic, but they've got bananas, strawberries, and they use sunflower butter.
Yeah, that's a particular combination. Organic bananas, strawberries, and sunflower. They don't have any added sugar. Of course, some of the stuff has natural sugar. Strawberries are naturally sugary.
And the problem with these, Lily loves them. Lily will eat them, usually no problem. But these fall into the Elliot likes to pinch things to find out more about what they are. And he just turns it into protein bar sand.
Sometimes he eats it, though.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he didn't eat his protein bar or whatever. I'm not going to say the brand.
Yeah, he did not eat his bar this morning
so
or this
I'm just
evening.
Calling
so
it a protein bar, but
yeah,
but it's a good source of protein and fiber, and different varieties have different combinations of nutrition.
Yeah.
So the particular one that I just named, I think it had the omega-3s.
Yes, it has lots of omega-3, good fatty acid in it.
So the stuff you typically get from fish,
mm-hmm.
but I think there's
plant-based versions of it.
I think it's
just
the sunflower butter.
Yeah.
That's where you get it from.
It's more bioavailable in fish, but plants do contain it. And then we also give them like whatever we're snacking on. So like we got some Parmesan crisps. The kids really like those. Yogurt bites. Like if I'm eating chips and salsa, Lily's like, can I have some? And then Elliot's like, can I have some? And surprisingly enough, the kids like kind of spicy food. Usually. It can't be too spicy. Or kind of like whatever, or peanut butters and cracker is another big one that they'll do for snack or for lunch. Transitioning into lunch. Salami and cheese has been a recent hit. I call them toddler charcuterie boards. So you just put some salami, some cheese, and some crackers on a plate and see what they'll eat. Chicken nuggets and mac and cheese are usually a big hit. The mac and cheese usually is a big hit. Sometimes I swear toddlers are just like mini vegetarians because they just choose to not eat meat sometimes. So sometimes chicken nuggets are a big hit and they'll eat like 4 of them. And sometimes they're like, I'm just going to lick the barbecue sauce off of my chicken nugget. And that is my protein for the day, is me licking this chicken nugget. And I'm like, well, at least we tried. More fruit, peanut butter and jelly on whole wheat. The kids really like peanut butter and jelly. And we do not cut off the crusts. So the kids do not currently have any aversions to crusts. Knock on wood. And then we've got like rice cakes. So I've got some apple and cinnamon rice cakes, some cheddar rice cakes, and then I think I've got like a thing of spicy rice cakes that I'm supposed to take to work so I can eat those as a healthy snack.
And for dinner,
Or for lunch, they'll eat whatever we are eating. Lily's really into salad. So if we're eating salad, Lily wants to eat some of our salad. I ain't complaining except for the fact that I would like more salad, and Lily keeps eating all my salad.
Yeah, so for dinner, I'm usually the one who prepares dinner these days.
Because you're home.
Because I'm home, and it's kind of therapeutic to cook.
Mm-hmm.
And we've made some changes as well. Like I said, we buy salad. I eat salad for lunch, so I don't eat salad for dinner. It's too much salad. Like I said, everything in moderation. I do like small things, like if we make like lasagna, like I made lasagna the other day, I'll do half sausage, half ground beef or whatever. But instead of ground beef, I'll switch it up with like a ground turkey, which is not as fatty, and it's supposed to be healthier.
Potentially.
Like heart healthier. So I do little stuff like that where, the end consumer won't necessarily know I'm switching it up.
Yeah.
But I do cook with ground beef. But if we're making like a chili, I'll do half ground turkey, half ground chuck.
Yeah, we also buy ground chuck instead of ground beef. It's a little more expensive, but you get a lower fat content. So it's a little bit of a leaner cut. You have less grease to siphon off the top. And then whatever we make is usually what we'll offer to the kids first. It's not necessarily what the children will eat, but it's what we offer them first. Like today, Joe made fajitas, but they were probably a little spicy. We mostly gave the kids like some cheese and some tortilla. And we did not give them sour cream today because it was not bath night, and I did not want to clean that up. But like the kids love sour cream.
Yeah.
So we'll give them like a toddler light version of whatever it is that we're eating. Or what did we have the other day that Lily just did not want? What did we have yesterday? Lasagna. No, the kids love lasagna.
I don't know. What other day? We went to the breweries a lot.
Yeah, we did go to a lot of breweries this weekend. I don't remember. We were eating something the other day. And I was like, it was here. And I was like, Lily, you love this. And she like wasn't touching anything. So I was like, okay, here, backup meal. Here is some salami and cheese. Go to town. So it's at least something that I know that she'll eat. So usually have some options around the house of things that the kids will eat to make sure that they're eating something for dinner. Even if it's not exactly what we're eating, we at least put it on their plate and see if they'll try it. And if they don't like it, that's okay, because we don't all like all things.
Yeah, so that's dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I made fajitas today. And usually if I actually planned out, sooner than 5:30 when you were getting off work, or whenever you were getting off work, which was too late to plan fajitas because we didn't have half the ingredients.
A little bit.
So if I actually planned ahead and I had like a bell pepper around, Lily would no doubtedly come over and try to grab a bell pepper slice off of the tray, and she'll gnaw on that as a snack.
Yeah. Elliot doesn't totally get bell pepper as a snack, but he thinks about it.
Lily can walk around, although I don't like it when she does, but he needs to be sitting for sure and super supervised in a high chair,
Yes.
preferably. And then dessert.
So we don't do dessert all the time because, like, tonight my beer is my dessert. So I didn't pull anything out. We do have, like, some cookies and some stuff we got from Jungle Gyms that could be considered dessert. Sometimes we'll, like, give the kids a little bit of ice cream. Usually it's here, have some chocolate animal crackers or animal grams because they're not titty grams. And if for some reason we have a cake, which we've had a cake a few times recently, but usually there's not a lot of cake. We'll give the kids a little bit of cake.
Lily's been eating a lot of Jell-O.
Well, yeah, since Lily got sick, she's been eating a lot of Jell-O. And now she's helping Mom make Jell-O so she can learn how to cook. Because girl likes to eat, so she needs to learn how to cook.
Yeah. So now we're going to kind of just briefly touch on drinks. What do we give our kids to drink? It's a very basic list.
Yeah. So our kids get water and milk. Lily gets 2% and Ellie gets whole milk. He'll start switching to 2% here in another 6 or so months. We try to give them access to water all day, but we don't always remember to, like, put the cup somewhere where they can reach. So at the very least, they get it at meal times. But then, like, after mealtime, I'll be like, here's your cup on the table where you can reach it. Because, hey, I forgot to give you a drink between breakfast and snack. But here's your drink now if you need it. And then we're attempting to potty train Lily.
See previous episode.
See previous episode. It's going okay. She's still not telling us that she has to go potty, but her diaper or her pull up is more consistently dry. And I have upped our bribery game. And she's very excited about the upping of the bribery game. So we're going to see what happens.
She even wakes up from the night, like in the morning.
Nah, it depends. Sometimes she's dry, sometimes she's not. But that's okay because it's overnight. But we try to limit how many drinks she gets before dinner. Sometimes we remember to not give her... Yeah, sorry. Drinks after dinner. Sometimes we remember to not give her milk before bed.
You're looking at me, but...
Most of the time you give her milk before bed.
It was leftover milk.
It doesn't matter. She's not supposed to have a ton of liquids 2 hours before bed. That is how you set up for overnight success.
Okay, I could do better about that. But Elliot likes his milk before bed.
Yes,
so
and that's fine. We just have to...
How do we...
I've done it a few times where I've only given Elliot milk and I haven't given Lily milk, and she's been fine. Or we just explained to her, you got your milk at dinner. Elliot didn't get his milk at dinner, so now he's getting his milk.
Okay. These are the foods and drinks that we avoid or we should avoid, and we need to do better. So it's a... For
us, for the most part, the kids do not have these things ever.
Well, they have some of these things.
Oh, yeah.
Grandma. For instance, Grandma likes to give the kids Rice Krispie treats, and I learned that Rice Krispie treats do not have great ingredients in them. I'm not talking about
Rice Krispie treats don't have good ingredients in them? Who knew?
Like, they have manufactured garbage.
What? This is crazy.
That's just one example. Which we do not give the kids. That is a grandma treat.
Yes.
But foods and drinks, that our family should avoid, including the kids and including us, is soda or pop.
You're in Ohio, hun. It's pop.
Fine. Pop. Juice. So like the real sugary juices, as you said, marinated. They may say 100% juice, and then really on the back it says 10% juice or whatever. Sports drinks. So really sports drinks, you don't, unless you're like a pro athlete, it's not like super necessary. Although I do like a good Gatorade every now and then. But really the best thing is water. Desserts, like unnecessary desserts. Like you have your birthday every year. I have my birthday every year. Christmas time, there's cookies and stuff. So everything in moderation, for sure.
The important thing is moderation, not to just blatantly start cutting things out of your diet, unless if you have an allergy or a dietary aversion to stuff, in which case, don't eat the thing that you're not supposed to eat. Because every time you have an allergic reaction, it gets worse.
Yeah. And then the last item on this list is high fructose corn syrup, which is in everything.
It's literally in everything.
So it's hard to avoid.
Yeah, but you can attempt to limit your exposure to it.
Yeah, so high fructose corn syrup, it has all kinds of there's all kinds of links to, fatty liver disease and weight gain and diabetes if you eat too much of it. So this is something that I think is important as parents, that we need to, that we do, and we need to, I guess, do a little bit better instilling good habits into our kids.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully by default, those habits will come onto us.
Yeah.
Because if we only buy certain foods, we won't be able to eat those unhealthy foods. If we don't buy unhealthy foods, we won't eat them.
Yeah. And the kids stay really active too. They are so energetic.
Yeah, which makes us energetic. So I guess that's a win-win.
I don't know if I would say it makes us energetic. I would say it makes us active.
Okay, it makes us active. So now it is time for Joe's Dad Joke of the Week. And are you ready for this, Caroline?
As ready as I'll be.
All right, so do you want to hear a joke about pizza?
Sure.
Oh, never mind. It's too cheesy.
Oh my goodness.
That does it for this week's show. Thanks so much for listening. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe to us on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We are at Craft Parenting Podcast on all those platforms. Also get a hold of us via email, which is craftparentingpodcast@gmail.com.
If you like what you hear, please leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or your podcatcher of choice. Make sure to share the show. It's what helps our show grow. If you'd like to send us stuff such as fan mail, craft supplies, or sanity, we have a P.O. box.
And all this information is available on our website, which is www.craftparentingpodcast.com.
That's where we post the show notes, plus blog posts about some of the stuff that doesn't make it into the podcast.
Yeah, you just published a blog post about hiking.
Mm-hmm. I got like 4 more that I need to write that are not hiking related, but I'll get there when I get there.
Yeah. And if you want to follow me personally on Instagram, you can follow me at craftparentingjoe.
And I am at Caroline Creates Crafts on Instagram. And my Facebook is Caroline's Creative Crafts.
All right. And with that, I'm Joe.
And I'm Caroline.
See you next time on the Craft Parenting Podcast.
He's Perry the platypus.
You can call him Agent P.
Perry.
Said you can call him Agent P.
Agent P. So I don't know how much of that will actually stay in the show and how much will end up in the bloopers.